She cried and told me she loved me, but I didn't think nothing of it.
They were searching for a location to dispose of the remains.
Even though it was a weird, strange dynamic, she loved her like a sister.
I just wish I could have gave her the world.
Brandon Barnes said that he wanted to give the world to his wife, Jessica, but he was sleeping with both of their roommates and allegedly murdered her. This morning, Jessica's mother joins us live to talk about the relationship gone wrong. Plus, hip-hop moguls Jay-Z and Diddy are celebrating a big legal win this morning after an accuser drops her case. We're talking about what the withdrawal may mean. Also this hour, a brand new theory for the Kohberger defense team. They're saying that unidentified male blood found at the King Road crime scene could be pointing to other suspects. We've got a criminology expert on the show to weigh in. And accused CEO assassin Luigi Mangione speaking out, addressing the extraordinary volume of questions and support. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Monday morning to you. Welcome to Opening Statements. I'm your host, Julie Grant. Are you ready for some coffee and some court on this President's Day? We got a great show planned, so let's get it going. Grab that cup of coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. All that was left was her Bible. In the shocking, sickening, twisted case of the murder of 20-year-old Jessica Barnes, after she was strangled to death and her remains disposed of, all of her belongings were burned as well. Everything except for her Bible. And that Bible is the only possession of Jessica's that her family now has to cling to as they're grieving her death. How heartbreaking is that? Jessica Barnes should still be here, but she's not, because her husband allegedly strangled her to death. And what's more, he and their two housemates allegedly disposed of her body. Her husband was allegedly cheating on her with their two housemates. Now, if these allegations are true, that rotten, pathetic excuse for a husband deserves the stiffest penalty that South Carolina law allows. You want out of your marriage? You want to sleep around? Get a divorce. It's that simple. Nobody has the right to commit murder. This case makes me mad. Jessica Barnes deserves justice. Her family deserves peace. They should be able to give her a proper burial. And may God be with them as they grieve Jessica's death and disappearance, and as they seek justice and punishment for whomever is responsible. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
Not only was the defendant having an affair with Baker, but they were also swinging with other people. Her older daughter, Jessica, who you'll hear from, found Baker sleeping in the defendant's bed.
Court is dark today due to the President's Day holiday, so we are looking ahead to what's coming up tomorrow for you. So we've got the celebrity hairstylist murder trial with Monica Sementilli. She's the defendant in this case going on in Los Angeles. Court will resume tomorrow after quite a long break in that case. And in South Carolina, we've got the defense's case beginning in the Rose Petal murder trial for defendant Zachary Hughes. And in Massachusetts, we've got defendant Karen Reed back in court for a motions hearing. Her case is over the murder of her boyfriend, police officer John O'Keefe. Now to our top story. The two women accused of helping Brandon Barnes dispose of Jessica Barnes's body were in court on Friday for their preliminary hearing. Brandon Barnes waived his hearing. The judge found probable cause and bound the women over, Kendall Mims and Victoria Tippett. They'll all be heading up to big court for their trial. The lead investigator in the case taking the stand, revealing some sickening new details about the homicide.
You can, at some point, you can see the tote being brought out of the pool house by Brandon Barnes with the assistance of Ms. Mims and Victoria Tippett due to the dead weight of the body being in the tote. It's put in the HHR. Again, it's driven around. Apparently, what they told us was they were searching for a location to dispose of the remains before they ultimately ended at the location on Twin Lakes Road.
Oh, this is so heartbreaking. We have two very special guests we're going to be welcoming on the show this morning. We have the family spokesperson for Jessica Barnes' family. He's also a journalist. Troy Stiles is joining us. And also this morning we have hope to be joining us, Cecilia Varvara, who is Jessica's mother. And I want to be fully transparent with our audience, Troy. As you know, we had the shot up and we're having some technical difficulties. So as we're working to repair that, I'd like to go to you on this story. You were so kind to join us last week and really take us into that home where Jessica was living with her husband and these two housemates who apparently all turned on her, according to what police are saying. Troy, what do you think was the root of all of this?
Well, Julie, it seems that Brandon Barnes is the root of all of this. He certainly has a colored past. There's allegations of abuse, and he's actually been charged and convicted for the same types of crimes, domestic violence in the past. He's a serial strangler, and all of his victims in the past have spoken of this, just horrific amounts of abuse. And, as mentioned before, I'm not sure that the other two girls, the housemates, Victoria Tippett and Kendall Mims, aren't victims of his as well as suspects in this case, Julie.
You mentioned that the other day, and we just didn't have time to dive into that, but let's do that a bit now. Troy, when you say serial strangler, my understanding is there was an incident with Ms. Mims. Is that right? Did he strangle her at one point?
Yes, and he actually, there's another ex and they spoke of it in the trial or in the preliminary hearing. Her name is mentioned in the preliminary hearing as well, but he was charged in the state of Maine for criminal domestic violence, and she was interviewed, and she actually had to flee to the state of Maine to get away from Brandon and took him with her. Because that was where she could find safe shelter. And yes, Kendall Mims has certainly spoken out about the abuse that she suffered from Brandon and alleges that he strangled her as well. So, it's certainly something that we know is common with stranglers, that, once they do it, something just kind of gets lit up. So strangulation is certainly it's a terrifying thing. And it seems to be the one type of abuse where the person on the receiving end just gives everything that they've got and they relinquish all control to the abuser.
Excellent points, Troy. We talk a lot about domestic violence and domestic violence prevention on this program, and you're right, that is a key sign of lethality in a relationship. If that is going on, that is potentially what could happen. Someone could die. And here, police are saying that's what happened to sweet, beautiful Jessica. And Troy, I want you to stand by for me, please, because I'm being told we now have Cecilia Varvara, Jessica's mother, joining us by phone. We could see her moments ago and the shot just dropped out, but at least we can speak to you, Cecilia. So if you can hear me, I just want to start by saying, person to person, I'm so sorry for your loss, and from all of us here at Court TV, our heart goes out to you as you're grieving your daughter's death. Tell us, please, what you make of this situation and how her husband and their two housemates are being accused in her death and her disappearance.
It's very tragic thing that happened to Joel and to our family.
Okay, and Cecilia, I'm so sorry. I'm just going to interrupt you for a second because I want to hear every word you're saying, and apparently we're having trouble with an echo. So while we have our technology experts work on that. Troy, let me go back to you because it's through your work as a journalist, your company, Blunt Force Media, you did great interviews with Mr. Barnes before he was cuffed and locked up. You've gotten to know the story so well, and now you're speaking for the family. You shared with us such helpful, insightful information the other day. Could you speak, please, to their reaction? You know, when they hear the daughter's missing, was the first thought, oh my gosh, could Brandon be the one responsible?
That absolutely was the first thought. And Julie, we actually have, a part of our company represents families who find themselves the spotlight of a crime story, especially, you know, big spotlight stories. So I've actually worked with Cecilia and her family since the day that Jessica was reported missing. So Cecilia had shared with us a photo of Jessica that was horrifying, where she had just been beaten very badly. And so, you know, we knew that this was going to be a serious case. Of course, you know, oftentimes in missing persons cases, people come back. And so we were really hopeful that Jessica would come back. But eventually we realized that that was not going to be the case. And while Pendleton Police Department, which is kind of a tiny police department, while they conducted their investigation, we still had to hang flyers in the square and pretend like this was still a missing persons case, even after we knew that Jessica's remains had been found and we were waiting for positive identification through an odontology expert. But I have stood by this family from the very beginning, attended, you know, all of the hearings, and just spent such a large amount of time and, you know, in their intimate setting and with their family. And it's been quite a life-changing experience to be a part of their family throughout this, and to see just the pain that they're going through. And what happened to Jessica is horrendous. It really is.
It is, and they're lucky to have you, Troy. You know, victims, family members, you know, also are victims, as you know, and going through the criminal process isn't an easy one. They need an advocate, and there are people, as you know, who are victims advocates who work in the court system day in and day out. I always call them the unsung heroes of the system, because, you know, they're literally wiping tears off of family members' faces. They're holding the hands of family members as they have to see the person that did harm to their loved one. And here, you're essentially doing that. You may not be working in the courthouse, but you're essentially doing that outside for the family, and that's really commendable. I want to back up, Troy, to what you said. So we know that Jessica was killed, according to police, on August 2nd, 2024. You said there was an incident where Cecilia shared with you some photos where Jessica was badly beaten. How close in time do you know was that beating incident to August 2nd?
About 6 months before, and she had shared those with a friend of hers, and then that friend shared it with her mother and said, you know, hey, I think something is really bad going on and you need to be aware of this. Jessica had left Brandon on July 31st, and she actually went to her mother's house and put her things on the porch. And she kind of had like a mental breakdown, and she had made threats of self-harm. And then Pendleton police dispatched the ambulance that transported her to the hospital. And we're not sure really why Jessica wasn't placed on a psychiatric hold, but she wasn't, and she was actually able to leave the hospital, where Brandon in turn called up with her and then allegedly murdered her 2 days later. He strangled her in front of Victoria, which is one of the housemates. And then they, of course, as you hear in the preliminary hearing, they drove all over the state of Georgia and with her body to try to find a place to hide it before coming back to where Brandon actually originally met Jessica. And that's where they burned her to nothing. There's nothing left of her except 3 teeth and a jawbone.
I read that it horrified me, Troy, you're right. And when you were explaining to us the other day, Jessica's family can't even give her a proper burial, which has to be so dreadful. I'm being told we've repaired Cecilia's audio. So Cecilia, Julie Grant again here. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties we're having. We certainly want to hear what you have to say. Tell us, please, what you want to say to Brandon Barnes, Jessica's husband.
I hope that you'll find Jesus, and Jessica wanted to be loved and cherished, and she wanted you to be a man of God, like you know already. And I hope where you are right now, that you'll get your Bible and repent for what you did.
Cecilia, tell us more about your beautiful daughter.
Jessica was a sweet girl. She was like my right hand, helped me with everything in the house. She was helping everybody who was needed help. Very selfless girl. She was an artist. She liked to sing, to draw, to make jewelry. She was the sweetest girl.
She deserved to be loved. As you said, she deserved to be respected. She deserved to be safe in her home. Did you ever get the sense that she was unsafe there?
I did have a little bit of sense of that when I saw the picture in 2003. Some friends sent it to me. Her best friend sent the picture to me, and I went immediately with my friend to report the incident. And after that, I did a couple of check on her to see if she's okay, and it led to this murder in the end.
Cecilia, what did she tell you about that incident?
She did not want to talk about it. She did not want to talk about it. She was pregnant at that time. That was when it happened, it was in November, and she gave birth to a still baby on Easter Day.
Do you have any suspicion that Brandon did that unborn baby any harm?
I do. I think it was his face was very angry, and he was very disrespectful to me as Jessica's mom. And my kids, they were very scared of him.
Cecilia, we're so sorry for your loss, and we certainly are remembering your beautiful daughter here on this program, and we'll continue to remember her as the case progresses, and we'll continue conversing with Troy Stiles, a journalist and family spokesperson. Blunt Force Media is the company again, and check out those interviews with Brandon Barnes. They are chilling as we listen back to them. Cecilia, thank you. We'll hopefully get you on camera next time. We'll keep talking. And Troy, big thank you to you as well. We'll talk again soon. Take good care.